Section 12.2, electrolytes and non-electrolytes. Solutes can be either electrolytes or non-electrolytes, okay? So a solute, remember, this is something that's being dissolved, right? So we're only talking about substances that will dissolve. And this is normally we're talking about in water, okay? So an electrolyte is something that when it dissolves, it dissociates into ions, and those ions conduct electricity. A non-electrolyte, it dissolves, but it does not dissociate into ions. So basically this is what you have. Electrolytes, these are going to be ionic compounds. Okay, because when they do dissolve, they break up into ions. Non-electrolytes, these are going to be polar covalent compounds. Okay? So, talking about just electrolytes, there are actually two types of electrolytes. There's both strong electrolytes and weak electrolytes. And strong and weak refers to the amount of dissociation. A strong electrolyte will dissociate 100% or nearly 100%. Now, this results in lighting up a light bulb very bright, okay, because it gives off a lot of ions. So here's an example. Magnesium nitrate's a strong electrolyte. Notice the one-way arrow. It'll break up into the magnesium ion and then two nitrate ions. So we have almost no magnesium nitrate left, or no magnesium nitrate molecule left, ionic compound. We have only the magnesium ion and the nitrate ion. Okay, so if I was going to look at a graph, okay, and this, let's just say this is number of particles. I'll say that over here. All right, and then here's before dissociation. So before it's been put in the water. Then this is after dissociation. Okay, so here's magnesium nitrate to begin with. Let me draw, this is supposed to be a straight line. Alright, so there's magnesium nitrate. Oh, I made a mistake here. Let me make this a little bit smaller. So let me take it right there. Okay, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So now there's the magnesium nitrate. Now when it breaks up, it's going to break up into this is magnesium nitrate. It's going to break up into the magnesium ion, and then it's going to break up into the nitrate ion. Now notice the nitrate is twice as big as the magnesium, right? And it should be, because if we take a look at this, for every one magnesium I get two nitrates. So that's why my nitrate is twice as big as my magnesium ion. But notice after dissociation we don't have any magnesium nitrate. Let's color these just to color them. Then here's magnesium and here is nitrate. Okay? Now that's a strong electrolyte. A weak electrolyte does not dissociate completely. And so we end up with a dim light bulb because we don't have very many ions to conduct electricity. If I'm going to draw this same sort of graph down here. Over here is number of particles. Okay, and again we're going to break it up into before dissociation. And then after dissociation. Alright, so here is HF before we dissociate, hydrogen fluoride. Okay, then after we dissociate, let me draw my straight line, we end up with almost all of our hydrogen fluoride still. So we still have hydrogen fluoride. We get a smidge of, I should have done that black. We get a smidge of H+, and we get a smidge of fluoride ion. Okay, so here before we put it in water, here's after we put it in water. Again, we've only lost a little bit of that HF molecule. So we only form a little bit of the hydrogen ion and the fluoride ion, and that's a weak electrolyte. Since there are fewer ions that can conduct electricity, the light bulb doesn't light up nearly as bright. Here you can see all the HF molecules that we still have in solution. Since it's a molecule, it cannot conduct electricity. Now, for this one, notice that there's a equilibrium symbol. It's a two-way arrow. In other words, HF breaks up into hydrogen and fluoride, but hydrogen and fluoride also forms HF, so it goes both ways, and we'll have an entire chapter on this idea. Now, a non-electrolyte will dissolve in water, so it still dissolves, but it doesn't break up into ions. And again, this is where I said we're talking about a polar covalent compound. Alright. Since it doesn't have any ions, that means it won't conduct electricity, which means the bulb doesn't light up. So I often say these polar covalent compounds, they just get wet. That's all that happens. They're separated from each other, so we are able to weaken the intermolecular forces to separate the solid. But they don't break up into ions. So here's an example, C12H22O11. It just stays C12H22O11. The only difference is now it's aqueous. Okay, so it's surrounded by water.